This unit will help you with punctuation, which is essential if you're going to communicate your ideas clearly. First, sentences and paragraphs. A sentence is a group of words that can stand by itself and make sense. A sentence starts with a capital letter, ends with a full stop, and contains at least one verb. If you don't write in proper sentences, you'll not make yourself clear, and you may not get above a level 4, even if your ideas are wonderful. Written language is more than just words. It has to have punctuation, otherwise you get into difficulties, as Charlene and Craig are about to find out.
I think you find that's everything, all the things. I borrowed your CD tapes to tea, shirts, and your stupid surfing magazines there, all there.
You're making a big mistake, Charlene.
No, I don't think so. I counted them.
I didn't mean the stuff I meant. About you and me, I want to say. I'm sorry, and I think we should. Talk.
There's nothing to talk about, is there? Isn't that what you said in any way? I've come to the conclusion that being with you is a waste of valuable tanning time.
Can't you see? I'm trying since we've been apart. I've learnt there really is more to life than sun. Sea, sand, and lots of other things that begin with S.
What are you trying to say, Craig?
So without punctuation, the written word becomes a stream of lifeless text. Now let's use proper punctuation.
You were right. It all started at Bruce's 21st. I went out to the pool to crack a few beers with the guys and, well, you know how it is. We got to talking. You know, about girls and that.
And?
Well, I looked back and there you were with Bruce, alone in the lounge together, talking.
Craig.
You look great in your sexy little black dress with the evening light streaming through the windows, catching the hints of glittering gold in your hair. And I just felt so jealous.
Oh, Craig.
And I still haven't asked you. I guess I just haven't had the guts.
Oh, anything.
Charlene.
Yeah?
You got to tell me. Those highlights, they're perfect. How'd you do it? Mine always go all too streaky. Perhaps it's my conditioner. You know, sometimes words fail me. They really do.
Now, even if we don't always speak in perfect sentences, we do have to write in them if we want people to understand what we mean. If you find putting your writing into sentences difficult, try to speak your words out loud in your head. Whenever you hear a pause, you probably need some punctuation. If you've gone on for more than a couple of lines and have a big pause for breath, you probably need a full stop. If it's a small pause, partway through a sentence, you probably need a comma. So read over what you've written and see where you pause. In Unit 1, we planned a story about finding £1 million. Here's a version of that story that a student came up with. It's a good story, but it didn't get a level 4. Why do you think that was?
To Adam, you are the only person who might believe what I'm about to tell. I found £1 million. I was walking home from school and I saw a bin bag in front of me. I kicked it over and the bag split open. I looked in and there was a pile of money in there. I took it home and counted it and there was £1 million. What shall I spend it on? A new house, a car, a home entertainment centre, a holiday and everything else I wanted. I know, I should buy it all and will still have change. Or should I hand it in? I just don't know. What do you think I should do? Anyway, I'm going to think about it tonight. See you at school next week. From Stuart. P.S. Don't tell anyone.
Well, that sounded okay, but it isn't quite how it was written. Rewind the tape and jot down some of the things you would change. If you've got access to the Key Stage 3 Bite-Size Revision website, you'll find a copy of this text, so you can print it off and have a go at correcting it before our expert goes through it for us.
The first thing I noticed about this answer is the sentences aren't shown properly, which is essential if you want your reader to follow your ideas. Let's start by marking in the sentences properly. We could use a full stop here and here. We could use an exclamation mark after £1,000,000 and a capital letter here. We can break up this list with some commas, and we could also use a comma after I know. We need a capital letter at the start of this sentence, and it's a question, so we need a question mark. And a comma after anyway breaks up this sentence nicely.
That's a lot better. It really makes more sense, and we'll get a higher mark already. But it's still a bit confusing. Do you have any ideas what might be missing? It needs breaking into paragraphs. Back to our expert.
You should start a new paragraph for each new idea or topic in your writing. When you're writing, you should start each new paragraph on a new line and indent it. But if you haven't, just use 2 lines to indicate where a paragraph should start. The first paragraph here states the reason for the letter. The second paragraph explains how Stuart found the money. The third paragraph goes through his options for spending the money. And the fourth paragraph considers handing the money in. And then finally, he signs off. It's an informal sign-off because this is an informal letter to a friend.
Just by looking at this, you can see it's better. And all we've done is put proper sentences and paragraphs in. Of course, it's easy to do redrafting like this on a computer, because it doesn't make a mess when you make the changes. But when you're writing by hand, it's still worth making changes, even if the result is a bit untidy, because it'll get you those extra marks. A sentence is a group of words that can stand by itself and make sense. It has at least one verb in it. Sentences start with a capital letter and end with a full stop, a question mark, or an exclamation mark. You can have punctuation inside your sentence, such as commas, to break up different parts of a complex sentence, or to separate the items in a list. Organize your sentences into paragraphs, so your reader can follow your ideas clearly. A paragraph is a group of sentences about the same topic. You start a new paragraph when your writing moves on to a new topic or idea. Each new paragraph starts on a new line, a little way in. This is called an indent. You need to use speech marks when you have a person speaking or thinking in your writing. Speech marks look like this, and always come in pairs, one just before and one just after the words that are spoken or thought. To work out which words should go in speech marks, try hearing or speaking your words aloud in your head. In this extract, there are 2 characters who speak and a narrator. Put speech marks around the words that are said or thought by the characters, not the narrator.
2 months? Can't be serious. You're going on a computer course for 2 months?
It's only 3 evenings a week.
She walked on down the school drive, avoiding Debbie's eyes.
Great.
Debbie said sarcastically.
Only 3 evenings of boring old computering? That bit of time left over for me then.
Oh, don't be silly.
Miriam was impatient, but not with Debbie. It was the keeping of the secret that annoyed her.
The text for that clip is on our Key Stage 3 bite-sized revision website, so you can print it off and have a go at putting the speech marks in before we go to our expert.
This first bit is what Debbie says. 2 months? You can't be serious. You're going on a computer course for 2 months. But the next bit, it's only 3 evenings a week, is what Miriam says. So each speech needs its own set of speech marks around Debbie's speech and Miriam's speech. For each speaker, you need to have a new line when the speaker changes. So you'd have a new line between the two speeches. The next bit is narration. Miriam walked down the school drive, avoiding Debbie's eyes. So you don't need speech marks, but you do need to start a new line before Miriam walked. Debbie's reply, "Oh, great, only 3 evenings of boring old computing. You'll have a bit of time left over for me then," is all one sentence, but it's split with a description of how she speaks, Debbie said sarcastically. Once again, you start a new line when Debbie starts speaking, and then you just put the word she says into speech marks. You don't need a capital letter for only because it's not the start of the spoken sentence.
And that's what the finished text looks like, with spoken words in speech marks, and each time the speaker changes or there's narration, we start a new line.
You need to use speech marks so the reader can tell what's speech and what's text, and there's a clear definition of what it is.
It's very important to use speech marks because it distinguishes the narrative from the speech and helps the reader understand when somebody's speaking, especially in their creative writing.
Speech marks go round the words that are actually thought or spoken by the people in your writing. Each new speaker must start a new line. Apply the normal rules of punctuation to the spoken sentence, even if it's split up. Including speech in a story can really make it come alive, but you must write it out properly. There are some exercises for you to try on our Key Stage 3 bite-sized revision website, or you can play this part of the tape as many times as you need to. Now let's move on to apostrophes. Apostrophes are important in writing, and if you get them wrong, you can end up not saying what you intended. The problem is, apostrophes do 2 different jobs. They show where you have reduced 2 words to one, known as abbreviation, and they also show possession. Let's look at abbreviation first. An abbreviation is when words are shortened by missing out some letters. We use them a lot when we speak, and you might want to use them when you're writing informally. These are words like I'm, it's, wasn't, and it'll. They're all words that have been abbreviated or compressed into one. Let's look at the words they started out as. I'm comes from I am. It's from it is. Wasn't from was not. And it'll from it will. So the apostrophe goes where the letters are missing. Why not stop the tape and think of some more abbreviations and work out which letters are missing and where the apostrophe goes. The other time we use apostrophes is to show possession or ownership, to show that something belongs to someone or something. There's a worksheet for you to print off the Key Stage 3 bite-sized revision website if you want to work through this next bit with our expert.
Instead of saying, "Look at the dog belonging to Nikki," you can say, "Look at Nikki's dog," with an apostrophe S after Nikki to show that Nikki owns the dog. Neil owns the pen becomes Neil's apostrophe S pen, and the dog owns the bone becomes the dog's apostrophe S bone. Now what happens if you want to add a